Hey guys, it's Neat2 up here, and welcome to Black Dude Reviews, a show hosted by a black dude who has zero desire to start glowing up. Welcome to Mega Man and Bass, the sequel to Mega Man 8 that Capcom forgot all about for some reason. I do not care what you say, I will forever see this game as part of the mainline classic Mega Man series. This game was made because apparently Keiji Inafune wanted to punish players who were still playing on older hardware, and so he designed this very difficult game, which was essentially a redone 16-bit version of Mega Man 8. Now this game does have an official Game Boy Advance port, but due to some technical issues I have with that version that I'll go over later, I'm instead going to play a fan-made translation of the Super Nintendo version of this game. So let's see how they remixed Mega Man 8 on older hardware, as we review Mega Man and Bass for the Super Nintendo. This is the first classic Mega Man game that lets you choose to play as a character besides Mega Man, not counting the Street Fighter mode in Mega Man 7. Mega has the same moveset as before, but Bass can shoot his Bass Buster in 7 directions, can dash, and can also double jump. But he has his own caveats that I'll talk about later. The structure of the game is mostly the same for both characters. The only thing about the game that makes Mega's campaign and Bass's campaign significantly different is the story. The game starts with an intro stage, located in the Robot Museum. After going through it, we reach King, who's a robot who rebelled against Dr. Wily and came to the Robot Museum to steal the blueprints for Dr. Light and his robots to create what he would consider to be an unstoppable robotic army. Proto Man tries to stop King, but King ends up slicing him right in half, and Mega Man or Bass sends him out of the museum. Then, wanting to focus more on building his army, King makes Mega or Bass face off against the returning boss from Mega Man 8, the Green Devil, who is by far the easiest boss in the game. After that, we're greeted with the stage select, which has an even more bizarre design than in the last couple Mega Man games. Now we only have 3 robots to go after, and the more robots you defeat, the more robots you'll eventually gain access to. I guess this design is sort of well done because it does take weaknesses into account, but it's still pretty weird, and I'm glad that they didn't use this design for any Mega Man game following this one. The formula in this game is pretty straightforward. You guide either Mega or Bass to the end of the level, beat the boss at the end of the level, steal that boss's ability in doing so, and using that boss's ability to beat enemies, obstacles, and bosses in other stages. Bolts return in this game, and they behave the exact same way as they did in Mega Man 7, in that they're not super limited and you can easily grind for them. The shop returns in this game too, with some returning items like the energy balancer and the exit module, and some new items too, like the Super Recover, which increases how much energy is restored whenever you run into an energy pickup, and the Spike Saver, which lets you run into spikes once without dying. This item is required to have in order to get some CDs. In this game, there's a database. In order to fill up the database, you have to get these CDs in the stages. Some of the CDs are in plain sight, but some are a lot more well hidden. And some CDs can only be obtained as Mega Man, and some can only be obtained as Bass. Well, I guess technically all the CDs are obtainable by Mega Man, but it's really hard to do. Rush Search also makes a return in this game, and its only real use is to get hidden CDs. And while some Rush Search locations are pretty friendly, some can just be really badly placed, like here in Magic Man stage and here in Burner Man stage. Because if Rush gets hit, he'll zip out, and you'll have wasted Rush Search ammo through no fault of your own. The CDs will unlock info about a certain Mega Man character in the database. But if you're not that interested in that kind of stuff, don't worry, you don't have to collect all the CDs. It's not important for anything besides bragging rights. Moving back to the stages in this game recycle almost all the enemies and graphics from Mega Man 8. Even Tengu Man and Astro Man return in this game. And am I the only person who's under the impression that King made Tengu Man and Astro Man take some self-defense classes? Because both bosses are a lot harder in this game. But anyways, about the stages, they're not split into 2 halves like they were in Mega Man 8. If you get a game over, you have to do the entire stage over again. But for some reason, unlike in literally every game before this one, your ammo doesn't get replenished after beating a stage. So it's heavily recommended that you buy the upgrades from the shop as soon as you can, because this game doesn't really pull that many punches anyway. After beating all 8 bosses, Mega or Bass goes to a capsule room where they have to use each Robot Master weapon to hit a target that'll earn them 100 bullets when they hit the target successfully. And after that, they go to King's Fortress, which is made up of 2 stages. The first is a stage with a normal length, but the second is essentially 3 stages meshed together into one. On top of that, there are 4 bosses to deal with. First, there's the King Tank, which is pretty easy if you have Lightning Bolt and Remote Mine. Second, there's the King Plane, a boss that a lot of people hate. But here's a tip. If you're Mega Man and you see that fist appear, jump up and use Lightning Bolt. It'll stall you in the air for a few seconds, and so long as you don't panic, you're pretty much guaranteed to land safely onto another platform. But if you're doing this Buster only, yeah. Good luck, buddy. The third boss is King himself. But before that fight, there's a bit of plot. Proto Man steps in to take King on himself and ends up shooting an extremely powerful bullet that makes him fall unconscious and also destroys King's shield. And so King fights either Mega or Base. And after King is defeated, he asks why Mega or Base is defending the humans, as they are apparently inferior to the robots according to him. Mega or Base tells him that humans created them and that neither species is quote-unquote better than the other. Then it's revealed that Dr. Wily was the one behind King, and his combat level gets raised up. And then we fight the 4th boss of the stage, Jet King Robo. And after beating him, King tells either Mega or Base to get out of the fortress as it's about to explode. King realizes that he doesn't have a teleportation device to escape the exploding fortress himself and accepts his fate. And so Mega or Base enters the Wily Castle, the stage with the boss rush as well as Wily himself. This game handles its boss rush a lot differently than the past Mega Man games, in that you have to fight the bosses in a certain order, and in between each boss is a short intermission stage. After all that chaos, we fight Wily himself in his machine and afterwards the Wily Capsule. And once we beat the Wily Capsule, we beat the game. Mega goes home but is disappointed because he felt that he could have saved King from dying. Then he sees that King wrote a letter to him telling him that he's fine and that he's changed his ways. A rather happy ending for Mega. But for Base, I think his ending's kinda stupid. Base is mad because Wily tried to take him down, and Wily tells Base that he made King to see how powerful Base really was. Then he reveals to Base that he made plans for another version of King that would this time be on Base's side. But Proto Man comes in and destroys Wily's plans and tells Base that he has no true reason for fighting besides self-glorification, which just kinda makes Base more mad, and he vows to kill Mega Man. And that's pretty much the story. In my opinion, Mega Man and Base was about as fun to 100% as Mega Man 8. Translation: it wasn't very fun. Yes, I know I had the option to just run through this game normally without stressing over the CDs, but I was expecting to feel some satisfaction after collecting them all. But in the end, the only thing I really obtained from getting all the CDs was bragging rights and morbid exhaustion. I don't know if that was the main thing that brought this game down for me, because even so, I still found this game to be pretty uninteresting to play. And if you're good at this game like I am, and you like speedrunning it, the game can honestly get easy to the point of it not being very fun to play. I didn't have that much difficulty playing through this game in terms of progressing through levels, because I've played this game enough to develop a lot of surefire tactics against a lot of the game's bosses. But some bosses, I'd have to agree, are just badly designed bosses, like King Plane. Once again, it didn't give me that much trouble, but even with the Lightning Bolt strategy, I still would not call this a well-designed boss, with how much of a chance the fist can completely screw you over if it hits a platform you need to jump on to move forward. But hey, at least there's a 1-up that always spawns whenever you die in this part of the stage. As for the weapons in this game, I'd say they each have their own unique purpose, and there's not really a weapon in this game that I'd say is downright terrible. Ice Wall is really useful for traversing certain parts of the game, and also for taking out really chunky enemies. And with the generator upgrade from the shop, some weapons like Lightning Bolt can be spammed to oblivion, which can make some of these weapons a little too powerful. Like I said before, if you're familiar with this game and you're familiar with the weapons and what they do, and you're familiar with the power-ups and what they do, this game can be shockingly easy. The only part of this game that gave me actual trouble was the Wily Capsule fight, which I was barely able to beat as both characters. It was hard to fight as Mega Man because I couldn't harm him from every location he appeared. And it was hard to fight as Base because he is, in my opinion, less mobile than Mega Man is, and also he has no means of healing himself. Because E-Tanks are once again nowhere to be found for some reason. They were absent in Mega Man 8, and they're absent in this game too. Mega does have a means of healing himself, but it's unreliable. If you purchase Eddie from the shop and use him in the stage, he has a chance of dropping energy, weapon energy, or bullets. So don't be super surprised if most of the time, Eddie just ends up screwing you over, like he did to me. So yeah, that's one of the things that makes this game pretty hard. No reliable ways of healing yourself at a moment's notice. But other things that make this game really hard is the damage output from a lot of enemies and bosses, unfair enemy and obstacle placements, and really annoying strategies from bosses that make fighting them very difficult to do. But at least the checkpoints in this game are a little more forgiving in my opinion. However, I personally would not agree with the statement that Mega Man is the hard mode of this game. I think each character has their own strengths and weaknesses in certain parts of this game. Base can dash and double jump, but Mega Man can slide and charge shot, which in my opinion can make movement around bosses simpler and easier, and can also make boss fights move faster. Not to mention that Mega has a means of healing himself while Base doesn't. But yeah, moving on. The story of this game is kinda dumb. The way they made the switch around to go from Wily being the one attacked by King, only to reveal that he was the one who was in control all along, just doesn't make that much sense. Like every time they do a switch up with which character is really the bad guy, it always ties back to Dr. Wily. So what's even the point? Anyways, about the endings. Mega Man's ending is a little hopeful, but Base's ending is kind of dumb. It just reiterates how arrogant Base is, which isn't really anything we haven't seen before. So yeah, the story of this game isn't all that great. But hey, the music in this game is very nice. I always felt that Tango Man's theme in this game gave Steven Universe vibes, but I'm probably alone with that take. Also, Pirate Man's theme is so soothing, and I never get tired of listening to it. Besides the music, Mega Man and Bass isn't all that fantastic in my opinion. As hard as the game is, I wouldn't say that this game added anything good to the Mega Man series when it comes to its progression, story, and level and game design. The game's aesthetics aren't all that fantastic either. Almost every enemy and obstacle were recycled from Mega Man 8, and it's not really all that inspired. The story of this game is kind of lackluster compared to the other Mega Man games, and the endings aren't very capturing either. Not to mention that in Mega Man's side of the story, we don't know what he did with Dr. Wily, so we're really back to NES basics when it comes to the ending, Capcom. Well, at least on Base's side, we see him having a conversation with Dr. Wily, but the game kind of just leaves it at that. In the end, Wily got no punishment for the things he did. So yeah, the story isn't all that great either. And the game's difficulty is very unfriendly to newer Mega Man players, and this is definitely not a game that I'd recommend to people who are completely new to the Mega Man games. Not just because of the difficulty, but also because of the story, aesthetics, and formula. Sorry Mega Man and Bass, but you're simply just not it. Oh yeah, and remember the GBA port? Yeah, don't play that port of the game. It suffers from screen crunch and makes some platforming of the game needlessly more difficult. And it can also at times make you feel a little dizzy with how much the screen is just bobbing up and down. So yeah, if you want to play this game, try to play the Super Nintendo version of it. Not like that version of the game is very fun to play anyway, but at least it's better than the GBA port. So with that, I give Mega Man and Bass for the Super Nintendo a 2 out of 5 stars. 2 2-star ratings in a row is not a good sign, but next time we'll be looking at one of my favorite Mega Man games, Mega Man 9. So if you'd like to see a review of that game and you enjoyed this one, please do subscribe. It's quick and easy, and you can always change your mind. But besides that, leave a like or leave a dislike, and thanks for watching.